Have you ever wished for a way to spark enthusiasm in your classroom? Introducing the MGMP Bahasa Inggris Commissariat Pagaden webinars, specifically designed for teachers like us. It not only captures attention with stunning visuals, but also delivers powerful messages that resonate with students. Imagine an engaging webinar that sets the tone for a dynamic lesson. Today we have excellent speakers who will share insightful lessons for our deep learning class. By joining this webinar, you can enhance your lessons, stimulate your students' curiosity, and create a memorable learning experience. So why not transform your teaching approach? Get the MGMP webinar today and watch your classroom come to life. Enjoy the webinar, everyone.
Okay, hello everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to our webinar, with the title Planning a Deep Learning Class: An American Perspective on Deep Learning. So, this exciting event is organized by MGMP Bahasa Inggris Commissariat Pagaden in collaboration with the Regional English Language Office, or WILO, of the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta. I'm Herti Herawati, and I'll be very happy to be your moderator for today. And it's wonderful to see so many dedicated teachers here joining our webinar from all over Indonesia, from many places in Indonesia. Thank you for being here and for your passion, for continuous learning. So to begin our session, we will have some opening remarks from Ibu Leni Lesnawati. Ibu Leni is the head of the Junior High School Division at the Subang Regency Education Office. So, Ibu Leni, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Herti. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The respected speakers, Ms. Magdalena Rojaslins and Ms. Ice Khadijah, the respected teachers, Ms. Herti Herawati, and all the teachers who joined this webinar. Well, it is truly an honor for me to join this webinar with the theme Planning a Deep Learning Class: An American Perspective on Deep Learning. Well, in today's rapidly changing world, education is not just about transferring knowledge. It's about inspiring students to think critically, solve problems creatively, and to connect learning with real life experiences. And I think this is what we call deep learning, the process that goes beyond memorization. The student is not just memorize something, but they have to focus on understanding, reflection, and meaningful engagement. So planning a deep learning class means designing learning experiences that challenge students to explore questions and apply their knowledge in various contexts. So it requires us, especially as educators, to rethink our roles, not merely as teachers who deliver lessons, but as facilitators who guide inquiry, collaboration, and lifelong learning. So through today's discussion and activities, I hope we can explore strategies to create classrooms that foster curiosity, critical thinking, and compassion. To develop a curriculum that integrates deep learning principles and practices, and also to collaborate and share expertise to ensure a high quality learning experience. So let this be a moment of shared reflection and innovation. Together, let's build learning environments that prepare our students not just for exams, but for their life, for the better future life. That's the important thing, I think. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. And I'm excited to work with all of you to create a deep learning class that will make a real difference in our students' lives. I wish you to become a productive and inspiring teachers through this inspiring webinar with two our inspiring speakers. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ibu Leni, for your warm and inspiring words. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on to our first speaker. We are very honored to have with us Ibu Dr. Ice Khadijah MA. Yeah. She is a master trainer at the British Council and one of Indonesia's most respected figure in English language teaching and also teacher development. Yeah. And Ibu Ice has extensive experience as a teacher trainer, consultant, and also curriculum specialist. She has been involved in numerous national and international programs focused on improving English teaching quality and teacher professionalism. And her session today will focus on how to plan a deep learning class, so where students are not just memorizing information, but truly engaging with ideas, thinking critically and applying knowledge meaningfully. So please welcome Ibu Ice Khadijah. Ibu, yeah, the screen is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm the first speaker.
Yes, Ibu, because we have
All
to plan
right.
first and then the activity later.
Okay. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, teachers. Good afternoon, all of you. I'm sure you come from different places.
Yes, good
But
afternoon.
stay here in one room on the screen, which I think it doesn't reduce the meaningfulness of learning. I really appreciate your courage, your motivation to keep on learning. And especially at this time with with some changes outside the schools, outside your capacity. Pak Sukarno, I think you have to mute your uh, teacher in the class should be strong to face the changes and keep on being consistent to help our students to grow. not just helping the students to pass the exam. So talking about deep learning, I'm sure you have seen many of my talk in YouTube, in webinar on deep learning. So today I will look at deep learning from how we can actually put deep learning in the class. What matters most in deep learning? So maybe Bu Herti, if I might not need 40 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, because I would encourage to have more discussions later on.
Oke, Ibu.
Yeah, okay. So deep learning in English language teaching. So deep learning in English language teaching, it is not an alternative. It is not an alternative. It is how English is acquired, actually. You imagine when our 2-year-old child learn a new language. They don't learn from the rules of the language. We do not need to tell them, hey, look, when somebody hit you, you have to use passive sentence, passive voice. And if you do it, then you have to use active sentence. We never teach them the rules of those language. We make them experience the language. They make sense the language. And that's the principle of deep learning. Bermakna, menyenangkan, dan satu lagi apa Bu Herti? Bermakna, menyenangkan, dan berkesadaran. So how can we learn new language without realizing that we use a new language? So this is the first framework ever that we need to understand in English language teaching, that deep learning is actually part of how someone acquire a new language they learn. We are not going to be able to acquire the new language that we learn unless we are mindful that we know what we are talking about. Yes? Unless we are motivated to learn it. I think we witness, you know, I don't want to say failure. We witness how many Indonesians have not been successful yet in acquiring language, not learning. They come to class and studying English, but not acquiring the language. This is probably the learning experience in the classroom has not been deep enough in getting the students in the journey of learning the new language. We have, I think, we somewhat are drawn in the belief that to have lots of materials will help students to acquire the language. While actually, talking about acquiring a new language is not about how much materials you bring to the learning, but how deep the learning experience has been led by the teacher in order that the students are motivated, understanding, knowing that learning the new language, in this case English, is for their life. It's not for their score only, but for their life. That's what we call berkesadaran, right? And when somebody is mindful enough and somebody are motivated, then of course they will be happy in learning the language. So this is the key point of deep learning in English language teaching. Actually, it's not just English, because I do this deep learning for teachers of different subjects. And in fact, it's the same. So deep learning in English lesson is about how we move from classroom activities to competencies. Now, what kind of classroom activities that will bring our students to competence, to competencies, to being able to use the language? So it's not about the materials. It's not about how much materials and how the book, or you may use the book from wherever in the world, from the English-speaking countries, but not necessarily that if we cannot lead the class, lead the activities in the class, then it won't become competencies for the students. So let's look at this list. Which of the following that most likely develop competencies? Understanding concept. Do you think it will develop competencies? Understanding concept. Look at the say it in your chat box.
Oke, Bapak
Understanding
Ibu,
concept.
ya, you can respond in the chat box.
Yes. Yes. Oh no, understanding concept, no. Or relying formulas. So I have to take out the relying formulas. Understanding concept. Do you think it will bring most likely develop competencies? Ladies and gentlemen? Uh-oh. Yes or no? Okay.
Silahkan Bapak Ibu bisa dijawab di chat ya, Zoom chat.
Okay. Now, relying on formulas. Relying on formulas. When you give them formulas, will it help the students to develop competencies? I wonder.
I don't think so.
Because we do lots of formulas. We understand the 16 rules of tenses. But I think in the real life, we only use one or maybe two or three. Or if you are good enough, you might use four. Simple present, present tense, what? Past tense, future tense. If it's not relying on formula, most likely not develop competence. Okay, no. And then the next one. The next one is remembering without applying. Remembering without applying. Of course not. It's just remembering, hafalan, menghafalkan bahasa, right? Remembering or memorizing vocabulary. Of course not. It will not go anywhere. Connecting ideas. What do you think about connecting ideas? Yes, because in connecting ideas, we develop the thinking skills. Yeah. And what about accepting new facts without critical thinking? Of course, no. Ibu Auliana say no, of course not. And memorizing rules? No, very big no. Very big no. So having a good understanding of principles. What about having good understanding of principles? Good understanding, yeah, not memorizing. Good understanding, yes, good understanding. The hard part is making this happen in the class, right? Uh, it's 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 easy to say yes or no, but how can we implement in the classroom? Connecting learning to the real world, I'm sure you will say yes. And motivated by interest, yes, motivated by interest. When we are interested in doing things, we are motivated, then we always want to do things again and again and again and again and again. Yes? What about motivated by fear of failure? Then we threaten the students. If you don't do this, you are not going to be able to do the test. If you are not, you will fail the test, blah, 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 blah. It will not become competence. It will just become score. It might become score because students are motivated only because they want to get good score. It will not necessarily become competencies. Because after the good score, the failure gone, the fear gone, then the motivation's gone. Yeah. And this is why I wonder, people still say, anak-anak kalau nggak ada ujian nasional, nggak semangat, nggak mau termotivasi. Very, very wrong principle. Because semangat should not come only from the test. It should come from the learning process. And what else? Join response. Respond bareng-bareng. Yes, no. Then this is most likely will not help the students to develop competence. Why? Because joint response, we don't know. We don't know actually which group of students have already achieved our objective. Yeah. And then the last one is experiencing the language. I'm sure you agree with me that experiencing the language will have a very big yes from all of us. Because without experiencing the language, how can our students develop their competence? Yeah. Because the part here is planning a lesson with deep learning, then we have to understand all of this first before we do the planning, right? So, providing rational explanation, number 13, the lucky number 13. Yes, providing rational explanation. Yes, it's necessary to make the students able to make sense of the language. We have to have rational explanation. Yeah. Now, so I put it this way. So then we have understanding concept, connecting ideas, having good understanding of principles, connecting learning to the real world, motivated by interest, experiencing the language, providing rational explanation. These are all characteristics of the deep learning that the government is now introducing to all of us, right? So motivated by interest, it's then it becomes menyenangkan, right? Understanding the concept, it means berkesadaran. Having good understanding of the principles means berkesadaran. Experiencing the language is what's it say? Menyenangkan, berkesadaran, dan what's the other one? I lost.
Meaningful.
Meaningful. How can it be meaningful if we don't connect with the real life? So all of these are the criteria for a deep learning. Yes? Now, my next question is, have the learning process in the class help students to achieve the objectives to acquire the English, their English competence? Have the learning process. Now I invite one or two answers. Have the learning in the class help our students to acquire the language? May I invite one or two answers?
Yes, sure, Ibu. Yeah, come on, Bapak, Ibu.
Yes,
Yeah, probably
you
you
can
want to
open mic.
share. Yeah,
Mhm.
please open mic or raise your hand first so I can notice.
This is not a competition. So
Mhm.
if you haven't practiced it yet, it's no problem. Because then we have to find out what are the reasons that we cannot achieve all those things. Yeah,
Okay,
Ibu Hira,
yes, Ibu
please.
Hira.
Okay, thank you, and sorry for the light behind me.
No problem.
Um, I think it's depend on what kind of learning process that we do in the classroom. At some point, perhaps in my own classroom, uh, some learning process could help students acquire their language if the teacher help them to actually acquire it. Like, for example, using the language properly in the classroom
Mhm.
and minimizing the use of the Bahasa Indonesia. So slowly students can acquire the language.
Okay.
I think that's could help.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ibu. Yes. And then it requires the teacher to have good competence of English, right? So it requires the teachers themselves to be able to use English effectively, right? All right. Okay, thank you, Bu Hira. Is there any other teacher who wants to share? So Ibu Hira say it really depends. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
come on,
May I
Bapak, Ibu.
invite one more?
Yeah, please.
Where is the
Anyone of you
male
who want to
teacher?
share? Yeah, so many teachers here. I think we have so many experience.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Okay. No problem. If they don't want to share in public, that's fine. You share in my Instagram, yeah? Okay. You can share in my Instagram and we can continue discussing it, yeah? All right. Let me continue with the slides that I have. So, in fact, we have been interfered by so many policies that doesn't really help teachers to help our students to acquire English competence. Among many interference is the test, the uh, the demand from the pengawas, etc., and also the limited competence of the teachers in using English, and also many more. One of them, which I think also uh, doesn't help us in helping the students to acquire the language, is the decision from the headmaster to use a certain book, which actually, uh, you know, do not have lots of uh, worksheets that help students to acquire language. So there are many reasons why this doesn't happen. However, we as the teacher who who lead the class should always have should always be aware of ourselves. Because we are English teachers, then of course we have to be aware of our level of English. It's very important. It's super important. How can we help our students to acquire the language if they have never had any examples? If they don't have so much exposure to English from the teacher. Okay. Now, when we talk about, we just now identify which of the activity or which of the factors that help developing the competencies. Number one is understanding concept. How can teacher do it in the class? How can we get the students understand the concept? It's not simply explaining the concept, right? Because students need to be given opportunity to make sense of the language. So when we introduce a concept, then we should bring a clear example on how those concepts are applied in the real life, in the activity in the classroom. I plan to give you an activity later on to help you think of how we get our students understand the concept, connecting ideas. How in language classroom, we connect ideas, how we can focus on things that help the students connect what they learn to other things, to other concepts, for example. Having a good understanding of principle, yes, it is an important factor to develop competencies, but is it enough to explain the students about the principles? Of course not. Good understanding of the principle doesn't come from simply explanation from the teacher. I'm sure you have a lot of experience explaining the language feature of narrative text. And the students keep up asking, what is the language feature of narrative text? What is it? Because these principles are very abstract and cannot be just explained to the students, to whoever. Because the students in our classrooms are not students in linguistic class. They just want to acquire language at their level for very simple purposes. Number 3, connecting learning to the real world. My question is it enough to rely on the teaching materials on the textbook? It's not enough to connect to the real world by having materials from the textbook from page 1 to page 200 and following through it. To connect to the real life, we have to build worksheet that make the students motivated, because the worksheet are about their life, are about things that they do in their real life. Yeah. Motivated by interest. How can teacher include motivating learners in the lesson? Many teachers complain, students are not motivated. Students are not motivated. And I ask, what do you do to motivate them? Well, sometimes I use ice breaking. Well, that's not enough. Ice breaking is superficial. It's just, motivated, external motivation, which help the students engage for a very short period. But to develop motivated by interest, we have to have a planned lesson. We have to have purposeful activity in the class, not just random activity, not just what on top in our head and then, oh, I think this game is good. I think this, it doesn't develop motivation by interest. Interest, people will be interested in something whenever the things that they do is meaningful to their lives. Then the next one, experiencing the language. Now, to give the students experience to use the language, they need model. They need model of language user, not not language explainer, not somebody who is very scientifically good in explaining about the language. They need somebody who is able to use English in their level, in a comprehensible manner, so that with whatever the vocabulary that we use, understood by the students, and the students can respond. This is, I think, at this moment, is still the biggest challenge for Indonesia. Because from the assessment that the ministry did last year, most of teachers are at the intermediate, lower intermediate elementary level. This needs to be transformed, ladies and gentlemen. Look at your English. Invest your time. Invest probably your money to help yourself to be a trustworthy teacher, an English teacher who are able to model the English to the students and creating opportunity to practice. Is it the same to give assignment and to give a task? Is it enough to ask the students to do exercise from textbook? Do we need to create worksheet? So these are questions that you need to think when it comes to creating opportunity for the students to practice the language. It's not enough to rely on any textbook that we have, because textbook is written for, for only learners. While in our class, we have our learners who have different unique characteristics. Yes? So, when it comes to national objective of learning language, I mean, learning English, for lower and upper secondary schools, there hasn't any change at all from 2003. Tapi nggak ada kemajuan walaupun kurikulumnya, walaupun tujuan nasional pembelajaran bahasa Inggris tidak berubah. The national objective of English lesson is still the same. Yes, the English subject for SMP, MTS, SMA, MA, SMK, education level aims to develop the potential of the students to have communicative competence. Siapa yang nyuruh bikin anak-anak itu mengerjakan soal dan sebagainya, menghafalkan rumus-rumus? Tidak. They have to have communicative competence in interpersonal, transactional, and functional text using a variety of spoken and written English texts. Through the use of chosen texts, students are guided to use factual, conceptual, and procedural knowledge, as well as instill noble values of national character in the context of life in their home, school, and community environments. This is I mean, this actually give us idea how English lesson should be connected to the real world. Then, what causes the mess in the reality? So many. The causes of the mess in the real life, in the school. Number one is the teacher's understanding or the headmaster's understanding of what it is in the curriculum. Sometimes they don't read the curriculum, but they always say the curriculum is too much. But in fact, the thing that they the thing that they think too much is not the curriculum, it's the materials. Curriculum has never had materials. Yeah. So, and the teaching and learning of English in Indonesia is using genre-based approach, where this is the principle of deep learning is here. Professor Emilia always talk about this. Belajar bahasa Inggris itu kalau di Indonesia dengan genre-based itu otomatis deep learning. Otomatis. Ada yang bocor, mohon maaf. Mohon maaf, ada yang bocor. Pak Rasman mengganggu suaranya Pak Rasman, tolong di-mute. Rasman dari Subang. Rasman. So, where are we? So deep learning is actually in line with the principle of English lesson in Indonesia. So, jadi bukan barang baru sama sekali. And the basic principle is implement genre-based approach. Texts are presented in different modes: oral text, written text, audio text, and visual text, as well as multimodal. Multimodal means oral and written, audio and written, audio and oral, etc., etc. Then follow the 4 steps. It is started with building the knowledge of the concept of the theme, modeling the text, joint construction together, and then independent construction. Then in this case, there is the scaffolding in the modeling, and the number 1, number 2, number 3 are process which help the students to think deeply. Then communication is at text level, not just collection of sentences. Then it should be supported by context. So it should be connected to the real life. And all texts have objectives. That's why audience matter when we ask the students to create a text. Genre-based approach, basically, the main objective is to communicate orally and in written. To communicate means creating oral and written text. Each text has communicative purpose, structure of the text, and language feature, which these 3 should not be obviously explained to the students. Because when we explained, that all texts have purpose, structure of text, and language feature, they get confused because this is in the real life. They face in the real life that whenever they write, whenever they talk, they always have purpose why I send this message. Then they have known, I mean, that all messages should be that there is a structure. The beginning, starting with salam, selamat pagi, minta tolong, terima kasih. Ya. Jadi kalau ini yang diterangkan, this linguistic part that we explain, the students get confused. And pembelajaran mendalam hilang. And then teacher needs to scaffold. This is where our English competence determine the success of the scaffolding process. If our English, is not communicative enough, is not efficient enough, the vocabulary is too high, then the scaffolding will be hard for us as teachers, but also hard for the students to understand. Then, at the early stage of the lesson, the role of the teacher to give scaffolding is dominant. Little by little, then the students become independent. Okay. Up to this point, is there any question? Because I don't want to continue unless you have questions. So maybe my question time later on can be, you may not have questions time for me because I'm asking questions now. Any questions
Okay, Bapak Ibu, any question?
or reflection?
Mhm. Yeah, this is
Okay.
also for checking participants' understanding of the
Yes,
material.
yes.
Yeah.
Ibu Cici, Sucianti, can you give us a bit of reflection, Bu Cici? Ibu Lydia, Kusdianti,
Yeah,
I
Ibu
don't mind
Lydia.
people to not use their video, their camera, but
Mhm.
we have to be there.
Yeah,
Ibu
for the
Dwi Retnaningsih, can you give a bit of reflection in this?
Ibu Catherine maybe, or Ibu Nisa. Yeah, there are some of my friends here. Ibu.
A bit reflection ya, Ibu.
Yes, just
Yeah.
reflection.
I agree with the concept that we should make students speak and write because of they know what to say and what to write. So the first concept is they should have in their mind about the ideas they want to deliver, not
Yeah.
about the forms, the
Mhm.
formula of
Mhm.
the patterns, something like
Yes.
that.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
They need first of all to develop their confidence, right?
yeah.
Their confidence should be number one. We need to develop their confidence. I think many teachers also need to develop their confidence. Yes, like this afternoon. Thank you very much, Bu Katrin. Thank you very much, Bu Katrin,
My pleasure,
for
Ibu.
yes. Ibu Wina, where is Ibu Wina? Open mic, Bu Wina. Why do you think it is insightful presentation?
That
Kenapa?
is Ibu Nisa?
It's okay to use in bahasa Indonesia ya, Ibu Wina.
I think Ibu Nisa
Yeah,
raise
Ibu Wina
her
also
hand.
right. Ibu Wina also right.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
call
Okay.
her.
Okay,
Oh
Yes.
yes.
baik. Thank you.
Ibu Wina first.
Ya, I'm so
Yes, Ibu
sorry.
Wina. No problem.
Ya, maaf Ibu, ini sambil kerja yang lain soalnya.
Ya, nggak
Sorry ya.
apa-apa.
Ya, untuk tadi presentasi mengenai pembelajaran mendalam, dan saya juga pernah ikut penelitian mengenai pembelajaran mendalam, dan kemarin sebelumnya memang meneliti juga tentang pembelajaran berdiferensiasi sebelum pembelajaran mendalam ini. Dan betul, mungkin ada ilmu baru yang dari Prof. Emi juga, bahwa pembelajaran berdiferensiasi ini memang sebetulnya lebih ke yang sekarang itu pembelajaran mendalam. Tapi Prof. Emi juga mengajarkan ke saya bahwa ini juga termasuk ke explicit teaching. Right,
Apa?
gitu. Explicit teaching.
Explicit teaching. Ya, ya, ya.
Yes, oke.
Mhm.
I think ya itu mungkin
Okay. Ya, ya. Okay, okay. That's why you say it's insightful, ya? Okay. Thank you very much, Ibu. Thank you so
Ya.
much.
Ibu
Now,
Nisa,
Ibu
probably.
Nisa.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Herti. I'm sorry that I
Ya.
couldn't open my camera because I'm in
No problem.
at school right now.
No
Okay,
problem.
Ibu,
No
may I
problem.
use Bahasa Indonesia to make it more
Yes.
comfortable?
Yes,
Ya, terima kasih
please.
Ibu. Ibu, terima kasih sekali. Ini presentasinya sangat insightful dan ini relate banget sama penelitian saya sebenarnya. Jadi Ibu,
Mhm.
saya mau bertanya, sekaligus bertanya gitu ya. Ini kan
Iya.
saya rasa juga memang sepakat ya bahwa GBA ini memang sangat inline dengan deep learning. Nah,
Mhm.
kemudian kalau misalnya ini diterapkan dengan kasusnya misalnya di kelas yang terintegrasi dengan mata pelajaran lain seperti dalam kokurikuler seperti itu Ibu. Nah,
Mhm.
kira-kira eh, akan seperti apa gitu ya Ibu kelasnya, dan maksudnya apakah ini mendukung si deep learning-nya ini dalam praktiknya untuk integrasi dengan mata lain gitu ya Ibu?
Oh, sangat, sangat mendukung sekali. Sangat mendukung sekali. Nah, hanya yang perlu menjadi perhatian adalah tujuannya. Tujuan di setiap aktivitas yang dilakukan itu apa? Nah, ini yang seringkali kita luput. Eh, Nggak apa-apa. I mean, say for example, English and science, for example, and physics. Fine. Uh, Lintas itu fine. Sebenarnya sekarang ini lintas itu memang disarankan. Tetapi yang seringkali kita lupa adalah we don't really have, clear objective. Big objektifnya apa? Jadi kita ini we are occupied with lots of materials. Materials and materials and materials. And we often forget what are those materials for? What is the objective? What competence should we achieve? Ya, itu yang seringkali nanti di dalam contoh saya akan ada. Begitu Bu Nisa.
Iya Bu, berarti sebenarnya balik lagi memungkinkan, hanya saja kita harus tetap fokus pada misalnya ke genre testnya, misalnya seperti itu mungkin ya Bu ya. Mungkin hanya
Iya,
pemilihan topiknya saja gitu ya Bu.
iya. Kalau genre base itu kan ya sudahlah, itu kan nggak perlu diomong lagi ya bahwa orang setiap belajar bahasa itu ya mesti ada jenis teksnya, mesti ada language feature-nya, mesti ada purpose-nya, kan gitu ya. Nah, tetapi ketika apa intrakurikuler, maksudnya kok intrakurikuler, apa antar mata pelajaran,
Interdisciplinary.
interdisciplinary lessons, ya yang kita perlukan adalah tujuannya apa dulu, kompetensi yang akan dicapai apa. Ini kan kita tuh ngadepin apa CP sebagai learning outcomes, kan seharusnya CP itu dicapai 1 tahun. Tapi banyak yang cuma ngelihat CP-nya, kemudian memutuskan bukunya, tidak memutuskan tujuannya, ya kan? Nah itu yang mungkin perlu dilatih.
Next,
Ya, Bu
Ibu
Nisa?
Titin ya.
Terima kasih, Bu.
Ya,
Ya, Bu Titin
Ibu
silakan.
Titin silahkan.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you so much for having me in this meeting, Ibu. I'm so adore about you, and Bu Herti, thank you so much for
Thank you.
having me for this opportunity. Maybe I'm trying to uh, resume back what Ibu said. Yeah, it's about deep learning. I think, yeah, maybe when I was to be students in last time, maybe pembelajaran mendalam itu I ever got it from my teachers. And from now, maybe I think the point is not only for the learning objective, but also we need to build student motivation and engagement for our learning process.
Yeah.
That's the point that I got from you, Ibu.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
really, yeah. Actually, I'm just a little bit confused when I'm trying to give materials, and I just really forget about the objective of learning. Maybe the point is about what we call motivation, even though
Yes,
it is intrinsic motivation or extrinsic motivation. That's the point.
very true. Yes. That's what I highlight, actually. The importance of building the students' motivation.
Motivation and
as part-
confidence. Yeah.
Yes, motivation as part of the learning process. Yes.
I think
Oh,
Ibu
Ibu
Titin
Titin
has
freeze.
problem, yeah, freezing. Yes, he has problem.
Okay.
Internet.
So let
Yeah,
me
okay.
continue with the example of the activity ya, Ibu ya. Ini untuk mengurangi waktu, untuk menyingkat waktu. Nah, now I give you example of activity. This activity is probably 90 minutes in high school. By the end of the lesson, students are able to describe the chef in minimum 5 sentences to a group of a certain audience. This is what objective that we always have, that we should always have in any lesson. Then within this 90 minutes, we have to develop smaller. We have to chunk this big objective into smaller objective in the form of activity. Now, in this example, I just give a picture of this chef. So the activity is asking as many questions about the chef to the teacher, because the teacher has the information about the chef. Then we invite the students to ask simple questions. What is his name? Where does he work? So we invite students to ask questions. In this case, the important thing that we have to remember is the way we manage the class, the way how we give opportunity to all students, and not just taking questions from good students, from students who wants to dominate the class. Then this is one thing that we have to pay attention, our way in managing the classroom. So I have clear objective here. Students feel confident asking the teacher relevant question about the chef. And then after the asking and answering the questions, I ask as a teacher, I ask the students, okay, now please ask 3 sentences about the chef based on the information that I give from the question and answer. Don't make your own assumption. Just write whatever that you hear from my answer. So students are clear. This is how we develop motivation, intrinsic motivation. People will develop their motivation when they know exactly what to do. They probably find a little bit challenging, but they can still do it, right? Okay, now everybody has got at least 3 sentences about the chef, and we go to activity number 2. The activity number 2, no, not this one, not this one. Okay, activity number 2, students are able to ask explorative questions to the teacher with confidence again. And then students are able to write at least 5 sentences about the chef. So in this activity, I expected that the communication between me and the students, the scaffolding time, is so much longer than the first activity, because the first activity need the students to create questions, right? So it's a little bit challenging. So that's why they only write 3 sentences. And then in this part, they have words. So please use the word to develop questions. And if your friend has already used the word choose, you can still use it again and again. Yes? For example, what sport does he do? How many times in a week that he does sport, etc., etc. Then students need to remember the answers from the teacher, and then they ask they have to write at least 5 sentences about the chef. So you see, this is a scaffolding. Before, at the end, they are able to write a descriptive text about the chef. So now they have, after activities 2, they have at least 8 sentences. Okay? Now activity 3. In activity 3, they bring their notes, they mingle with all the students in the class, then they share their friends information about the chef. So I will tell my friend, then find another friend, then they have more information about the chef, because students remember different thing about the chef, and they write more sentences about the chef. Okay? And then in this activity, students are able to write their own opinion. After collecting informations, after having information about the chef that is based on the fact, based on my answer as a teacher who know the chef so well, then they create their own opinion. I think, they write, I think the chef, blah, 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 blah. I think the chef, so this is their opinion. So at the same time, they write descriptive text, but at the same time, they are also able to differentiate between factual information and opinion. Okay? So students share their opinion about the chef to their friends, mingling activity again. So then activity 5, audience matter. So in this case, teachers will give a little bit of knowledge why audience matters. Then, as a teacher, I explain why audience matter, because it will It will determine your tone and language. It will determine the purpose and clarity and engagement, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Then they work in pair and think of audience. Now you have a lot of information about the self. You are going to describe the chef to a certain audience. Now please think of audience. Whether you are going to share the story, to share the description about the chef to your friend, to your parents. Nah, ini untuk apa? Untuk develop awareness bahwa teks itu selalu ada tujuannya, selalu ada social functionnya. Nah, ketika social function, kita nggak usah jelasin social functionnya. Kita buat aja activity yang mereka menyadari bahwa kalau saya menceritakan tentang chef ini kepada anak kecil, kalimat mana yang harus saya pilih? Kalau saya menceritakan chef ini kepada teman saya, kalimat mana yang harus saya pilih? Itulah sebabnya di sini saya minta hanya membuat description about the chef in at least 5 sentences. Okay, so that they then practice in practice orally in a group using that certain audience that they have in mind, and then writing practice. So I stop share. Does it help to think of deep learning? Please answer in your chat box.
Ya, Bapak Ibu, ya, please, you may respond in the chat box.
Does it help you to think of the deep learning?
Yeah. Bapak Ibu, come on. Yes, yeah, Bu Wina, yeah, said yes, Mom.
Okay.
It helps a lot.
Yes. All right.
Helpful, Ibu.
Okay.
Yeah, Bu Hira.
Yes. Of course it helps. Not just help. It is actually a must to develop the objective. Yes. Now, how do you manage your objective? What do you need to develop and manage interaction among students, between you and the class, and between you and the individual students? Yeah. And then, so this one is the whole set of objective that I have within 90 minutes. Clear objective, then help me to develop deep learning process. Ya, ini yang harus ada. If you don't have your objective in the class, how can you do the deep learning? Yeah. Now, I'm not going to talk this. So the structure of objective, we have the learning objective, national. And then general objective or tujuan pembelajaran di tiap fase itu kewajiban untuk guru membuat. Nah, bagaimana kita akan menyusun roadmap of our class if we don't have the objective? Ngarang semua ini. Ya. So learning objective from the national level, then we have to break them down into phase level, fase 1 tahun atau 2 tahun, kemudian turun menjadi per kelompok ya, alurnya mau seperti apa. Nah, baru ke lesson plan. Kita tidak akan bisa membuat lesson plan.
Mohon. Kalau ari mie aya teu mie telur.
Ibu Ulfa, bocor Bu Ulfa. Nah, bagaimana kita akan bisa menyusun learning objective di lesson plan if we don't have the objective of the year. If we don't have the objective of the semester, ya, jadi kita random ngajarnya. Nah, itu deep learning nggak akan terjadi. Ya terjadi, tapi tidak akan berbuah kompetensi. Ya, nah seharusnya dari learning outcomes atau CP, kemudian kita membuat learning objective dan mengembangkan tujuan pembelajaran selama satu fase. Kemudian menyusun alurnya, mana yang duluan. Kemudian dari ATP kita melanjutkan ke serangkaian modul ajar, lalu RPP. Nah, modul ajar bisa berasal dari modul buatan sendiri, bisa berasal dari mengadopsi dan mengadaptasi materi yang ada dari textbook atau dan sebagainya, yang sesuai dengan alur tujuan pembelajaran. Kemudian mengadopsi dari berbagai sumber sesuai dengan tujuan pembelajaran. Nah, ini kalau ini nggak terjadi, kan susah ya. Jadi di dalam ketika kita planning a lesson with deep learning yang akan akhirnya membuahkan kompetensi, maka di setiap aktivitas ada tujuannya. Nah, kemudian kita mencapai tujuan akhir di kompetensi pada pertemuan hari itu saja, ya. Nah, ini ada 3 hal. What stops teachers from doing deep learning process? The absence of objective, interaction, and weak English competency of English teachers. This will cause the failure of the deep learning. Sudah tidak ada objektif, interaksinya kecil, dan kemampuan bahasa Inggris gurunya rendah, ya. So banyak sekali yang membuat ada pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang perlu kita tanyakan kepada kita. Have your English, are you competent enough in using English? Have you been aware of your communicative competence? Have you been able to translate the English curriculum? Have you been able to set up series of sensible and relevant learning objectives? Have you developed your competencies in adapting learning materials and activities to achieve learning objectives? Have you developed your skill in designing aligned learning assessment? These are questions that you have to ask every single time, every day. When in MGMP, ini pertanyaan yang harusnya udah nggak usah kemana-mana, nggak usah kebanyakan analisa, ya. So, the key success of applying deep learning in English class is the teacher's English competence. Yes, and to help our students acquire acquire the English, a teacher should be clear and meaningful context. You'll use visual or audio support to scaffold. Tadi saya contohkan, involve variety of activities, be based on real language used, and provide language forms. So I think I will stop here, and thank you very much, Bu Hefty.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Ice, for the insightful presentation. Wow, there are so many things that we can get from Ibu Ice. Thank you, Ibu. And we are so delightful to have you here today. Okay, now let me introduce our second speaker. So we have a very, very special guest from the United States. Yeah, so our speaker is Miss Magdalena Rogers Lynch, or I call her Maddie. Yeah, and she's an English language fellow with the Regional English Language Office, or WILO, at the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta. And she currently serves as a guest lecturer in UPI and facilitates trainings and workshops for English teachers, yeah, across Indonesia. And Ms. Magdalena is an experienced ESL educator and teacher trainer with a strong background in English, language teaching, curriculum design, and professional development. And her work emphasizes cross-cultural communication, student-centered learning, and communicative language teaching. And she earned her BA in Writing, Literature, and Publishing from Emerson College, colleague, and an MA in TESOL from Boston University. And her journey in international education began as a Peace Corps volunteer in Nicaragua, and she later taught English as a second language in U.S. secondary schools. Okay, now she's entering her second year as an English language fellow, and she continues to support teacher training and English education across Indonesia. So please join me in welcoming Maddie or Miss Magdalena Lynch, who will share an American perspective on deep learning. Yeah, okay, Miss Maddie, yeah, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much. Let me begin to share my screen. One moment, please. Okay. Bu Harti, is the screen full screen and clear? You can see it?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, wonderful. Well, first, thank you so much. Thank you to Bu Herti, and thank you all for having me and for inviting me. Thank you so much, Bu Icha, for that wonderful topic, wonderful information that you shared. It's going to be difficult to follow up from you, but I will do my best. Thank you for all the wonderful insights that you've just shared with us about deep learning. So before I begin, I want to just tell you a little bit about my story. Many times people are curious, how did you end up here in Indonesia? How did that happen? So I'd like to share with you. So I'm originally from New York City in the United States. But my father was an immigrant from another country, so he learned English, and I watched him learning English, and it inspired me to want to become an English teacher. So I have been teaching English in junior high school and senior high school in the United States, working with immigrant students. And last year, I had the opportunity to be an English language fellow here in Indonesia. So I have had the experience of teaching English in the US, in junior high school and senior high school, and I've had the experience of being a lecturer here in Indonesia. And so I'd like to share a little bit about some activities for deep learning from my perspective as an American. So the reason why I am calling it American Perspectives is because I have done some of these activities in America. I've done some of them in Indonesia, but you are all the experts in your classroom. So I hope that these activities will be helpful, but if you feel like they need to be changed, or maybe they won't quite work and you need to make some adaptations, please feel free to change anything, use anything that you think would work. Don't use anything that you don't think would work. You are all the experts in your classroom, but I'd like to share some things that have worked for me as an American educator, both here in Indonesia and in the United States. So as we've learned from Bu Icha, we know deep learning is activities that are mindful, meaningful, and joyful. And so I'd like to look at a few examples of activities that I think can fall under these three categories: mindful, meaningful, and joyful. So mindful learning means that students are paying attention when they study. They are focusing on what they are doing, and they are able to understand, not just memorize, not just remember. If students practice mindful learning, it helps them to stay calm, to learn better, and to enjoy learning. And there are many different ways that we can practice mindful learning. I would like to speak a little bit about one way, which is called mindful awareness activities. Now, I want to make it clear that sometimes when we hear the word mindfulness, we imagine somebody meditating and we might think, oh, that is for Buddhism or that is for another religion. I'm not sure if I can do it or participate in it. And I want to remind us that mindfulness is for everyone. It's not only for specific religions or for specific beliefs. Mindfulness means to be paying attention to what you are doing in the moment and not thinking about other things. So we all practice mindfulness in all of the different faiths that we have. We're practicing mindfulness when we pray. We're practicing mindfulness when we enjoy a cup of coffee. If you are focusing on only what you are doing and not distracted with other things, then you are practicing mindfulness. So mindfulness is for everyone. And I believe that it can be very helpful for our students as well. So one thing that a very simple thing that I like to encourage my English students to do is sometimes just remember to take a deep breath. Just last week, I was having some midterm exams with my university students at UPI, and I could tell they were very nervous. I could see that their heart was beating fast, and I told them, before we start, let's just take a deep breath. Because when you take a deep breath, your heart will become slower. Your body will start to feel more calm. And our students will often feel nervous if they need to speak or if they are taking a test or doing something in English that might make them have anxiety and feel stressed. So if you notice that with your students, I encourage you to remind them, just take a deep breath. So that's a very simple activity that you can do to practice mindful learning. Another activity is called 4-7-8 breathing. In this method, you inhale for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then you try to exhale for 8 seconds. Similarly, it doesn't take that much time to have your students do this. It can be a quick exercise if you notice that they are nervous about something, or maybe if you have a class after lunch and they have very high energy and you think they need to calm down a little bit, that might be a good opportunity to practice 4-7-8 breathing. And then finally, another activity is called 5-4-3-2-1. In this activity, you ask students to look around the room and in their head, count 5 things that they can see. Then they look around the room and notice 4 things that they can touch. Then they look around the room, or I guess listen, they listen. 3 different sounds they can hear. I hear music, I hear the whistle of the traffic outside. I hear maybe somebody selling bakso. 3 things that they hear. And then 2 things they can smell. And 1 thing that they can taste. So all of these different mindfulness activities, the taking a deep breath, 4-7-8 breathing, 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. When can you do these activities? Anytime. A couple of recommendations that I have would be when students are starting the class. Again, especially if you notice that they are high energy and you think it might be difficult for them to focus on the lesson for today. You could try to practice this mindfulness awareness to get them more calm. Before a presentation or a project, if students are about to present or about to share a group project, these activities could be helpful for them to let go of their stress and to feel more calm and ready to focus. Whenever the class feels high energy or chaotic, maybe you've just done a really fun, exciting activity, but then you want to transition to something where they will need to write and focus. You can help them transition by doing mindful awareness or to close class as well. So students have a lot of things on their minds. They're thinking about their families, their friends, they're thinking about other classes, they're thinking about homework, presentations, they're thinking about how many likes they got on TikTok and if they should make a TikTok video later. So mindful awareness can help them to refocus and get ready to learn and fully be present and focus on English and learning English. You do not have to do these only in English. You could use a mix of English and Bahasa Indonesia. But if you do use these in English, it's also a great opportunity for them to listen and practice English as well. All right, next I'd like to talk about meaningful learning. Meaningful learning is when students can connect new information with life topics that they care about, things that are important to them, as Ibu Icha has already explained. And one example of this is using something called project-based learning and task-based learning. I'm sure that you are very aware already of these two different types of learning, but just to have our shared definitions that we all know, project-based learning and task-based learning are very similar. It's the idea of practicing language through topics that students care about and real-world activities. Usually there is a task, a language focus, and a product outcome, like a poster or a presentation or Google Slides. The differences between PBL and TBL is that PBL, project-based learning, usually will take multiple days, maybe even a few weeks, but TBL can usually be done in one class. So you can decide based on how much time you want to take for an activity, whether you prefer PBL or TBL. I'm going to focus on one activity of TBL that I think is very meaningful learning, and I have really enjoyed incorporating this with my students. So one example I have used is something called vision boards. And I always start with students by showing examples of images of vision boards like I have here on the screen, and telling them that a vision board is a collection of images and words that show or describe what they want for their future. Then we move on to actually making our own vision boards. So the language focus for this activity would be using action verbs, thinking about their future with verbs like visit or graduate or travel to or become. So I provide students with a list of verbs and list of examples that they can use to write their sentences, and also show them a few examples of vision boards, like this beautiful vision board here, not mine. This was created by a very talented student of mine. After I have explained this to them and showed them some examples of vision boards, then students work on creating their own vision boards using those examples or action verbs. And after students have created their own vision board, then they leave them on their desk. And I give each student about 2 or 3 post-it notes. And the goal is for them to walk around class and write positive notes on other people's vision boards. And I always say it must be positive because, of course, if you give a student a paper and a pencil, we don't know what they're going to write. They might write anything. So I say, please write either a comment or a connection. For example, oh, I like your hobby. That is so interesting. Or I connect with you because I also want to live in Jakarta or live in Korea. So students are then asked to write comments and questions or connections to each of their peers. In the photo at the bottom, you can see some of my students who are holding up their vision boards after we finish this activity. I've found that students find this to be really, really positive. I have done this activity in both America and in Indonesia. And in both countries, students feel very proud of their vision board. They feel very hopeful for their future. And they are very excited to see what their classmates have written for them, because usually it's really positive, good comments. I think this is a great activity for motivating students, and I definitely recommend using this activity in your classroom. We know that sometimes students will not feel motivated to learn English, but if they create a vision board, you as the teacher can find out what their goals and ambitions are and hopes are for the future. And almost always their goals will be more possible if they learn English and master English. So I always have these vision boards displayed in our classroom. And if I find that students are not feeling motivated one day, I bring them back to their vision board and try to remotivate them, remind them what some of the reasons why it could be important to learn English. Other ideas for some meaningful learning using the TBL or PBL model are a travel itinerary, maybe even a dream country or a dream place. Students can practice using future tense with this, or even using time if you have just taught stating the times during the day, or if you have just taught future tenses. Having students create an itinerary could be another example of meaningful learning. Another example is a how-to guide, practicing should or must, or practicing transition words first, next, after that, finally. I usually give students freedom to choose a topic. So it could be how to get to the next level in this video game, or how to cook nasi goreng, or how to, if you have a student that's very into makeup, how to do your makeup. So definitely let students pick a topic that they are interested in and that they would be excited to share about. Another idea for meaningful learning is comics. I've noticed that many students are very interested in comics and manga, especially because it's not so much reading that they have to do. If they have a comic, they can look at the images and the pictures as well. So on a website called americanenglish.state.gov, which I will share with you at the end of the presentation, we have this great resource called Comics for the Classroom. You can use this with your students. It's available for free to download online, and they can read the comics and have different interpretations about it, have discussions about it, but they can also use it to be inspired to write their own. So another resource that I recommend is Panels and Perspectives, Creating Comics in the ESL Classroom. This is a great guide for how you can use comics to practice English and to motivate students to write their stories, but not as stressful as writing a whole story, writing something more simpler in the form of a comic. So I will share this website with you in one moment. And then finally, joyful learning. Joyful learning occurs when students are happy, engaged, and have fun with the lesson. One way that we can practice joyful learning is by using game-based learning or gamification. This is probably my favorite way to teach English. I love using games and having fun in the English classroom. And I'd like to show you one example of a game that you can use as well. So the comic resource that I shared with you before is from a website called americanenglish.state.gov. And I'm going to show you another free resource on that website that you can use. It has many ideas for different games you can play. So on this website, you will find a PDF of a book called The Monster Book of Language Teaching Activities. This book is free for you to download on the American English website, and it has so many great ideas for teaching English in a joyful way. And I'd like to practice one now with you all. So the activity is called Two Truths and a Lie. In this activity, I want you to imagine that you have just taught students past tense. And now you want to think of a way to have them practice writing or using past tense. So in this activity, Two Truths and a Lie, students will write down 2 true facts about themselves in the past tense and 1 fact that is not true, that is a lie. You have to tell students, don't say which one is the lie. We will guess after students read it out to the class or read it to a partner. So I would like for us to play Two Truths and a Lie now. I have some sentences for you, and you're going to listen and guess which one is the lie about me. Okay, so here is my example. 2 of these facts are true, they are correct, and 1 of them is not true. So start to think about which one you think is not true. Number 1, I have visited Mount Bromo. Number 2, I won a singing competition. Or number 3, I ran a 5K last weekend. So which one of these, number 1, number 2, or number 3 do you think is the lie, is not true? Please type the number in the chat.
Yeah, okay, Bapak Ibu. Yeah, you may respond in the chat. Okay. Number 2, number 3. 2 again. 2. I think most of the teachers believe that you have visited Mount Bromo.
All right, interesting.
Any other who can guess which one is not true? Oh, Buwina. Yeah, number 1. Okay. Yeah, any other? Please type the number. 3. 1. 1 again. 1 again. So
Ooh,
you
now
get
it's kind of
5
mixed.
1. Yeah.
All right, well, let's find out the answer. Okay. So here are the answers. Number 1 is correct. I have visited Mount Bromo, so that is correct. That is true. Number 3 is correct. I did run a 5K last weekend. I really like to run, so that is correct. Number 2 is not correct. I did enter a singing competition when I was in high school, but I did not win. But that's okay. So if you guessed number 2 as the lie, that where you were
I thought you
correct.
won the singing competition because if it is true, I want to have you sing right now.
I did not, but I'm glad that you said that, Buherti, because that is a big part of this game. When you play this game, it's important, and you should tell students to try to think of something that could be true, not something that is so obvious as the lie. Because if I had said to you all, oh, I was a K-pop star trainee, probably it would be obvious that that was a lie. So I had to think of something that maybe could have been true, but was not true. So that is the same way that I recommend that you play this game with your students, is to tell them, don't make it obvious. Try to think of something that could be true. This game can be played in...
Someone said that your voice is good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. So if you play this game with your students, you do not only have to practice past tense, you can play it in many different ways. You can do present tense, you can talk about hobbies, you can talk about sports, you can play this game in many different ways, depending on the topic that you want students to practice. So I really recommend this game, and it was from this book, The Monster Book. So if you liked this game, I recommend that you find this material on our website and find other activities that you can use in your class. And then finally, one more resource that we have on the American English website is this long list of free and able to download board games that students can use to practice having conversations. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 or more of these board games online that you can download and print for free. One example is this game here on the right called Name Your Favorite. If you play this game with students, they all put like a little coin or a little small object on the start at the very bottom. It says yellow start. Then they roll a dice and then move their object. So if I rolled 3, I would go, okay, 1, 2, 3, cold drink. And then the student has to name their favorite cold drink. My favorite cold drink is iced matcha. If you want them to expand it, you can even say, you must explain, you must use because. Okay, my favorite drink is iced matcha because it gives me energy. So this is an example of a board game that students can use to practice having conversations. And there are many, many, many other board games on our website, americanenglish.state.gov. So if you are interested in using this game with your class, please don't hesitate to go to the website and download and print it for free. So once again, many of these resources are at americanenglish.state.gov. I encourage you to use them in your classroom. And I'd like to just end with a reminder of why deep learning can be so great for teaching English. If we use deep learning to teach English, more focus for students. Students will pay attention and notice small details. More connections for them. Students connect English to their real life, so they will remember longer. Better understanding. Students learn why words and grammar are used instead of just copying them. And of course, more fun and confidence. When learning feels meaningful and joyful, students feel happy, they feel motivated, they feel more confident in their English, and more excited to come to class and learn. So I hope that you will explore some of these games and activities and resources in your classroom. Please don't hesitate to connect with the Relo office. We have email, Instagram, and of course our website. And please don't hesitate to ask me any questions as well. And I think looking at the time, Bu Herty, I will finish now and give the time back to you if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mehdi, for the insightful and wonderful sharing. Yeah, you have mentioned a lot of practical examples of how to get the students engaged in the classroom, how to motivate the students, how to make the students feel confident, yeah, in speaking English. And actually, I have shared the link of the website, yeah, Relo's website in the chat. So Bapak Ibu, you can just click the link, yeah, to have a look at the website, because I have already downloaded so many resources from the website. And don't forget to make the learning objective first, just as what Ibu Ice said before. Yeah, and actually, Ibu Ice, if you are there, I hope you can, probably you can,
I am here.
yeah, you can write down your Instagram account in the chat.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, many teachers want to share their experience about how to plan deep learning class. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here it is. Ya, silakan Bapak Ibu ya. Just reach out Ibu Ice's Instagram account, probably. If you please, maybe you can also give the teacher's Instagram
Yeah,
account.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, my pleasure.
It's a very hot Instagram with lots of things.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, Ibu Ice. Okay, now we'll open the floor for probably this will be a short question and answer, yeah, regarding the time. Okay, Bapak Ibu, please, if you have any question, you may raise your hand right now. Yeah, not tomorrow, okay. Is there anyone who wants to ask question to Mary?
Tutup aja dulu, close aja ya.
Who is talking
Jangan
now?
keluar ya.
Oh. Yeah, Bapak Ibu, is there any question? Well, I think Maddie's presentation has been so crystal clear, so there's no questions. But let's see, is there
Yeah.
any question in the Zoom chat? Or probably if you are shy to open your mic, just write down your question here in the chat. Oh yeah, Parasman. Silahkan Parasman. Okay, please open your mic. Yeah, Parasman?
Hello, yes, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Herti. This is a very nice experience for me to join this activity. Well, talking about deep learning curriculum, I have something problem about the teaching. Yeah, I I I want to try to ask Ms. Midi for the question why the activity should be handled in the classroom with such a game, but the game is especially for the warming up or for the ice breaking. Is it okay when we try to teach English through the game in the what we call the in one I mean in a full
Main
time,
activity, yeah, main activity, you mean?
yeah, a task based. Yeah. Is it okay in all time in one class in 1 hour using the game? But of course we should what we call the target about the objective, of course. But when we try to teach something like game, it will maybe not focusing about the material. Is it okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, I think you as the teacher know your students best and you know your goal and your objective for your class best. So for me, I have used task-based learning, the vision board activity, as a way for students to practice with verbs they have learned in a previous class, or also to introduce the idea of action verbs and talking about the future. So I think it can be done in both ways. It can be done to review something you have previously taught, maybe in a more traditional way. And also it can be done to introduce something for the first time. But for games, in my opinion, games are good to review something. So it could happen in an ice breaking at the beginning of class, or it could happen at the end of class after you have already taught the topic. For example, in the game that we played with the 2 truths and a lie, Imagine that I had already taught students about past tense and they had already practiced writing some sentences and we had already observed the rules or the form of past tense. And then to finish the class, we might play the game of two truths and a lie. So those are some ways that I have structured games and activities in my lesson. But I think that you know your class best and you can decide at which stage you would prefer to do the activity. Has that answered your question, Pak
Yeah.
Rosman?
Yeah, thank
Will I
you.
add?
That can help me. Yeah. Thank you for the information.
May I add a little bit?
Of course.
Yes. Yeah, Pak
Yeah,
Pak Rasman. Pak
Yeah,
Rasman,
sure.
of course, depending on the activity or the game that you choose,
Yeah.
I think one kind of game is what Ibu Madi just mentioned. So
Yeah.
you use the game to start the lesson or to end the lesson after they get all ideas. But if you think that the game can actually cover the objective that you set up, of
Yeah.
course you can use the game as the main activity. So uh, I'd rather use a term activities rather than game, because when we call it game, as if that's it's just additional activity. But if we use activity from, actually I'm familiar with the books that Rilo has shared. I use it so many times to help teachers also. There are activities in those series of materials, resources, that we can actually use not just as additional, but also as a main lesson. Again, what important is, don't forget the objective of each activity. What's the objective of
Yeah.
adopting the materials from the
The
book?
objective. Yeah. Yes.
What competence we would
Yeah.
like to achieve? That's it.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bu Ichi. Thank you very much, Ichi. That's really helpful.
I'm Ibu Herti. Saya
Yes.
mencoba menjawab Ibu Nurul yang bertanya,
Yeah.
apakah di lesson plan harus tertera ada deep learning? Tidak sebenarnya. As long as the activity, you are sure that the activity, help the students acquire the language, no need to write deep learning in the lesson plan.
Yeah.
Because deep learning is actually the journey of learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, because nowadays it has been very viral in the internet. There are RPPM, Bu. They call it RPPM, so rencana
Oh my
pembelajaran.
God. Aduh.
Yeah. Yeah, that what happens.
Ya, kita diaduk-aduk oleh orang yang tidak mengerti ya.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I actually have a question from Ibu Wina. Ibu Wina chat me. This is the question. So this learning design not only connects different subject meaningfully, but also allows students to experience authentic and deep learning. Through this activity, they learned to communicate, collaborate, and reflect, which are essential elements of deep learning that help them build understanding beyond the classroom. Do you think this kind of learning can be considered as a form of deep learning that provides meaningful learning experiences for students?
Sangat
Did you catch
ilmiah ya.
the question? Yeah. That's the
It's
question.
very
Do you think this kind
scientific,
of-
Maddie.
Which
Oh,
are
is that a
essential
question for me?
elements of deep learning? I don't know. Ibu Wina didn't mention.
Yeah, I think for
mention
both of
this-
us.
Both of you,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Which
Please
are
Can
go
you
first.
repeat
essential
the
elements?
question, please?
Which are essential elements of deep learning that help them build understanding beyond the classroom?
Ah.
Beyond the classroom means that it is outside the classroom. The essential elements.
Kenapa nggak open
What
mic
is
ya?
the elements? Yeah, she said that it is raining hard, so yeah, noisy over there.
Hmm.
Probably
Okay.
Bu Wina can make a what is it?
Further
Explanation
explanation.
about the question, please, Ibu Wina, you may chat. Ya, ini ada Bu Winanya ya. I'm so happy can meet. Okay. I'm from Garut. Yeah, okay. Welcome from Garut. You know Garut, Medi?
I don't, not yet.
You have to visit Garut too. I would like to share my teaching experience. I'm an English teacher currently assigned as a P3K teacher in an elementary school. I have been exploring ways to design deep learning experiences through cross-curricular or interdisciplinary learning in the 6th grade. Recently, I implemented an integrated lesson that combines several subjects. Yeah, PPKN focusing on PPKN is a civics. Yeah, civics learning or what is it? What is it, Bu Ica? PPKN? Focusing on
PPKN,
applying
ya civic
Pancasila.
education.
Yeah. Through interviews, Bahasa Indonesia, interview skill and structure in English, asking about feelings. The learning objective was for students to conduct interviews with nearby institutions to gather information about
Wow.
how Pancasila values are practiced in the community. At the end of the project, students reflected on their experiences and expressed their feelings in English about
Wow.
the activity.
Is that
What do you
primary
think?
school students?
She said so. It is a
Oh,
primary.
okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's
Do you think it is it too difficult for the elementary?
it's not difficult, but by concept, it's too high concept that that children at the level of primary might not reach that level of thinking yet. Mungkin bahasanya bisa, tetapi dia nggak ngerti apa yang diomongin.
The students, yeah. But I think the students have to learn first about the expressions that they have to use.
Yeah.
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 So what is the connection between expressing their feelings with probably Pancasila values?
Agak susah nih.
Yeah, it must be
Mungkin
clear.
butuh waktu lebih banyak untuk mencerna kayaknya. And my suggestion is that the activity is a little bit too high by concept for primary school students to understand how Pancasila is implemented in the life of society. And if they are asked to interview, I think what language do they use when they do the interview? Do they use
I think
Bahasa
they use
Indonesia?
Bahasa. Yeah, I think they use
They use
Bahasa.
Bahasa Indonesia.
But
Okay.
for English, they only express their feelings. So I think I have to make any connection between expressing feelings with Pancasila values.
Feeling of what?
Yeah.
Okay.
How? Yeah, I think how
I'm
the
giving up.
students feeling, how the students feel when they interview others. Probably
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I can get. What do you think, Maddie?
Okay, maybe. All right. I have to
Oh,
jump
true.
into
That's
another
right.
meeting. I'm sorry,
Oh yeah,
Bu
Ibu Ica.
Herti. I have to
But
jump to another
before
meeting.
you leave, could you please take the picture first with
Okay.
the audience, the participants? Yeah, please don't leave first. Okay, so I'm going to have a picture first. Yeah, please, Bapak Ibu, please open up your camera if you can. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. And then, is there any other page? Wait. No, I don't think so. So, Bu Ice, thank you very
Yes,
much, yeah, for being
you are
here
most
and
welcome.
share so many insightful things, yeah, for
Yeah,
us. Yeah, it is very
yes.
helpful, yeah. Okay, you may leave, Ibu Ice, but
Bye.
for,
Thank
yeah,
you.
okay, bye, thank
Nice to
you.
meet you, Maddie. Hope to meet you again in
Nice
different
to meet you as
occasion.
well. Yes, hopefully we
Yes,
Yeah,
will
yes,
connect
okay.
in the future.
yes. Hopefully, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
take
okay,
care.
bye, many thanks,
Bye-bye,
Ibu.
everyone.
Yeah.
Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you, you too. Yeah, Bapak Ibu, is there any other question for Medi? Medi is still here.
I am going to need to leave in about 10 minutes as well, but I can be
Mhm.
here for a little bit longer if there is another question.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to share daftar hadir, daftar hadir. The uh, what is it called? Yeah, the form for the form for attendance list. Thank you, Ibu Catherine, for reminding me. I don't know what to say. What is it? Yeah, attendance list for you. Yeah, who are here. So while waiting for one question more. Yeah, so I will invite one more question for Medi. So please raise your hand while I'm looking for the link. Yeah, of attendance list, please. Is there any? Okay, so here is the link of the attendance. Yeah, the attendance. So just click the link. Yeah, I have put it on the chat. Okay, so there are so many insightful things that you have shared. Yeah, Mehdi, thank you very much. You have shared about your perception, yeah, as an American, yeah, about deep learning. And actually, we also love to have games, actually, but some of the some of the curriculum experts actually uh, not really like to use that kind of weird games, but they use activity, yeah, because if we talk about games, it seems that it is about playing. Yeah, students are playing, but actually, playing is good if they have fun and they can learn something from the game, right? So, Bapak Ibu, you can just find out so many resources, yeah, from the website that Mehdi have shared with us, yeah. Okay, so as we come to the end of the today's session, so I'm going to say gratitude again to Mehdi and then to Ibu Leni, if you are still here. Ibu Leni, yeah, thank you very much. And also for Ibu Icu has left, yeah, for sharing your expertise here, yeah, your passion and inspiration. Actually, you have inspired us, yeah, as English teachers, yeah. And thank you for all the participants, for all the teachers, my friends, yeah, my colleagues, yeah, who have been engaging, yeah, so actively in this webinar. We hope that we can have this kind of event again in the future, and I really hope that our MGMPAC can collaborate with Relo, yeah, in on-site event, not only online. Yeah, hopefully just pray for us that we can make it. Yeah, and thank you for the team, MKMP team, who has helped me, who has supported me, all of this time. Thank you very much, and let's continue to collaborate, and innovate and grow together as English teachers. Okay, so I think this is the end of our webinar. Thank you very much again, everyone. Thank you, Medi. Thank you, Bapak Ibu. Yeah, see you again next time. And don't forget to fill in the attendance list. Yeah, and you will get the certificate in your email. Yeah, just check it out. Okay, thank you. Bye. See you again. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Ibu.
Thank you so much, Bu Herti. Thank you, everyone, for your
Yeah,
participation.
you're welcome.
And keep your spirit,
Anytime. Yeah,
everyone.
okay. Thank you, Medi.